What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm C.
I'm B.
And today we're going to react to Ben Shapiro destroys transgenderism and pro abortion argument.
I like how you said
That word kind of tripped me up. Transgenderism.
He like sounded it out. He put his hands too. It's like
yeah, guys, we did Ben Shapiro one last time. You guys liked it, so here's another one.
Before it was just like little clips of him like basically dropping the mic on people, and out of those clips, I believe this one was in it.
But not, I don't think all of them wasn't.
No,
wasn't there.
Just a part of this one was in it, and we saw part of this a while ago.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be interesting to react to it with you guys, since you guys are a fan with Ben Shapiro just as much as we are. As always, let us know in the comments below what you think about this video. Like, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notified for upcoming videos. Remember, we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We need your help to get there. So subscribe, people. Do it. Do it.
Let's begin. Why should I like?
I'm trying to hypnotize them.
Do it!
Do it. Subscribe to the
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it!
What are we, a Nike commercial?
No, that shit above.
Oh. I hear just do it, I think of Nike.
Alright, let's just begin.
How do you say that some people don't have privilege when you basically just said that trans people aren't valid? They're not a thing. They're just girls pretending to be boys or boys pretending to be girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's excited. Okay.
But gender is a completely different thing.
No, gender is not disconnected from sex. So.
It's not completely disconnected, but it's still a cultural thing. It's still from society. It's
okay. No.
Before we start, technically, isn't everything a cultural thing? Technically,
everything is cultural now.
No, like literally.
Everything's racist.
Technically, isn't everything cultural?
You're being serious. Okay.
Yeah, like the language, the way we blah blah. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But that doesn't mean it's not valid or it doesn't have meaning. You know what I mean? Well, let's swap.
I just love his face. Like, look at his face. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get myself ready.
Here we go again.
Let's go in, people.
biological, but gender is a completely different thing.
No, gender is not disconnected from sex. So.
It's not completely disconnected, but it's still a cultural thing. It's still from society. It's
okay. No, it is not in the mind. Okay, you're not a man if you think you're a man. And I didn't say pretending, or if I did, I shouldn't have said pretending. Let me amend.
You said playing.
Okay, I said a boy who thinks he's a girl. That's the usual phraseology I use. Not playing. I usually say a boy who thinks he's a girl or a girl who thinks he's a boy, which is technically what we're talking about here. As far as the actual psychological issues at play, it used to be called gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder. Now they call it gender dysphoria. The idea that sex or gender are malleable is not true. Okay, and I'm not denying your humanity if you're a transgender person. I am saying that you are not the sex to which you claim to be. You're still a human being, and you're a human being with an issue that I wish you Godspeed in dealing with in whatever way you see fit. But if you are going to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend that men are women and women are men, no. My answer is no. I'm not going to modify basic biology because it threatens your subjective sense of what you are.
Okay, but you're still saying these kids should not be accepted because they don't really fit in either place? They can't just
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout. In the name Boy Scouts. Because this is a very because for all of human history, boy meant boy and girl meant girl. Boy did not mean girl. And if I call you a moose, are you suddenly a moose? Okay, if I redefine our terms. No, yes, that's right. Men and women are a completely different thing. This is true. Have you ever met a man or a woman? They're completely different.
You can't just say you're a cat. It's not a thing. It's genders. It's not saying you're.
Okay, why is that? I don't understand. Why? Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, I won't ask you how old. I will ask you how old you are. Okay, because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No. Why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
Because
and why?
Because that's what I mean by everything is culture, right? Because a culture can just go on there and redefine ages, right? And say somebody who we think is 7 is 20. You know what I mean? But it's like, just because it's cultural doesn't mean you can just like change it however you want. Because then society collapses. Because we put value on things, and those things actually make our society run. You know, like our speech and defining things, right? If you just change that however you want, a whole language collapse. You know what I mean? Things have to have meanings.
Yep.
If you can change the meaning however you want,
created,
then what's the point of having language? You can just change it whenever you feel like it.
You know, certain words were created so we could define certain things.
Exactly.
And we're defining things because they're different from other things. Like he said before, I'm not gonna go and say I'm a cat now.
Exactly.
I'm not a cat. I'm a female. It's just how it is.
Like,
but I do still agree that you should respect others. So if a person says to me, no, I want to be defined as this, I will respect their wishes and define them as that. But do I really believe that's the case? That's a different story. Do I really think that that's something we should be forcing people to do? That's a different story. So
he also said that we should respect Shapiro, right? But let me ask you a question. If somebody comes to you and says, right, from now on I'm a cat. You gotta treat me as a cat, call me a cat. Would you do it?
I go get them some milk.
Why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60?
It's not the same as gender. You can't just.
You're right. Age is significantly less important than gender. You can't magically change your gender. You can't magically change your sex. You can't magically change your age.
You can still legally change it. People recognize.
You can't legally change your age, by the way.
Obviously, you can change your name, you can change your sex, you can change your identity.
Just because you can do things legally doesn't mean that they are correct biologically. You can do lots of things in the past that were incorrect biologically and correct legally. For a long period of time in the United States, sterilization of the mentally ill took place. That didn't make it okay. Skinner versus Oklahoma. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote the decision.
How does he have this things like in his head? That's crazy. You have in his head, bro. Like, it's
just
crazy.
like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
They read and
Jesus.
they study these things all the time. So it's like in their mind.
This
they
comes
like,
out.
Quote it.
I still don't understand how you accepting these children that have gender.
It's not a matter of open-minded and accepting. I want them to get treatment that they see fit, but that's not involving me. The idea behind the transgender movement as a civil rights movement is the idea that all of their problems would just go away if I would pretend that they were the sex to which they claim membership. That's nonsense. The transgender suicide rate is 40%. It is 40%. And according to the Anderson School at UCLA, it makes no difference. There's a study that came out last year. It makes no difference, virtually no difference, statistically speaking, as to whether people recognize you as a transgender person or not, which suggests there's a very high comorbidity between transgenderism, whatever that mental state may be, and suicidality. That has nothing to do with how society
Do you
treats
think
you.
it could be because of they're bullied at school?
No, I don't think that. I do not think that the discrepancy. I do not think the discrepancy. First of all, I'm against bullying of any sort. Okay, the idea that somebody would beat somebody up is terrible. Okay, as somebody who's viciously bullied in high school, I'm not a fan of bullying.
I can tell you. I can tell why
Right?
you live in school.
Jordan Peterson too.
When flex at you, you're like, man, shut up.
Stupid nerd.
Exactly.
Give me
we're
your
not
laptop.
laughing at big guys being bullied, guys. Like, don't come at us.
No, yes, we're bullies.
Like, oh my
I'm
god,
bullied.
you're making fun of people who's being bullied.
Yep.
Ah, could you? Let's continue.
But the idea that the normal suicide rate across the United States is 4%. The suicide rate in the transgender community is 40%. The idea that 36% more transgender people are committing suicide because people are mean to them is ridiculous. It's not true, and it's not backed by any science that anyone can cite. It is pure conjecture. In fact, it's not even true that bullying causes suicide, according to a lot of studies. For example, in the black community, where the idea is supposedly that America is a racist society, blacks are bullied a lot. Okay, in the black community has significantly lower suicide rates than in the white community.
I wonder why that
In
is.
fact, in third world countries, the suicide rate is significantly lower than in first world countries. Suicide actually seems to be a privilege of the upper classes, if you actually look at it from a financial perspective.
That makes
So
sense.
the idea that suicidality is directly a result of people like me saying, no, men are not women and women are not men, it's not true. It's also,
So you think it doesn't impact their identity at all, or their depression, or how they feel about themselves?
I think the idea that you're going to sacrifice the entire society's proper definition of sex because you think that there is in legal terms, somebody with an eggshell skull, meaning that somebody who has a pre-existing condition that makes them more susceptible to criticism, that is not a way to run a society. You can't sacrifice truth because some people are going to actually suffer because of the truth. Plus, there's no evidence whatsoever that the suicide rate would go down in the transgender community in any marked way if people just started pretending that men were women and women were men. We're trying that experiment now. We'll find out whether it works. So far, no evidence.
Have you talked to a group of trans people at all instead of this group of like white people?
I'm more than happy to talk to.
I hate this
Oh
idea
my
that if
God.
you're white, then your opinion doesn't count. Like, I don't really get that.
I'm so sick of
I
it.
understand-
I really am.
I understand you
Why
can-
is that always the
I-
go-to?
I understand, you should have conversation with the people, transgenders and LGBT people, right? I understand that. Have conversation with them. But that doesn't mean that every other opinion is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Yeah, speak to them and figure
But
out how
wha-
they feel or whatever.
Why is it? Oh, I have a question. Maybe y'all can answer this. Why is it always the white people? Why?
Because you're privileged, okay?
What the fuck did I do to
Privilege,
you?
that's right, 'cause you're
what
privileged,
the
that's
fuck
right.
did I do to you? My ancestors may have done some shit. Okay, fine. But why? What did I do? I didn't do nothing.
You're white. That's all over it. That's it.
Group of any people who will have me, but usually they.
This group of like white people?
I'm more than happy to talk to a group of any people who will have me, but usually they protest me.
Okay, last question about your Planned Parenthood thing. So why do you think it's not about controlling women's bodies and just about the separate life? Like, after the baby is born, how come when people don't care about them? They don't care where they end up in foster care, they don't care about the mother being poor? Like,
Okay, I do care about the mother being poor. I do care about foster care.
Okay, but why don't you advocate for that though?
I think that
Because
that
Planned Parenthood
argument
is supposed to
is
prevent
not a good
abortions.
argument.
Because Planned Parenthood doesn't prevent abortions. They
They do,
perform
though.
hundreds of thousands of abortions a year. They perform 300,000 abortions a year. They're the leading abortion bill in the United States.
Evidence for that though.
That they perform 300,000 abortions a year from Planned Parenthood. That's my evidence. They don't dispute that. No one disputes that.
Like birth control and cancer.
I'm not anti-birth control.
I know.
Birth control is extraordinarily cheap.
That provides affordable birth control, which would in turn.
Okay, they're not the only people in America who provide affordable birth control. You can go get a pack of condoms down at the local CVS for $12.
Condoms great. People need medication too.
Yes, and it's true that most forms of birth control are also extraordinarily cheap on an annualized basis. Unless you have a severe problem, though most birth control is very cheap and readily available. And I'm not against people going and getting that from Planned Parenthood. As you may have noticed, I'm mostly against abortion. If you want to go to Planned Parenthood and get a contraceptive, go for it. I don't care. I do care when you start killing babies. This is a problem for me.
The argument mentioned before about the argument that who's going to take care of them, they're going to be, poor. The argument like if you don't do it, they're going to be poor, blah blah blah. But you don't kill somebody because they're poor. Mm-hmm. They still deserve to live. So that shouldn't be a good argument against abortion.
The only time
To say that if it's born, they're going to be poor, so we should kill it. You know what I mean?
The only time, I don't even want to use the word acceptable, but the only time I find it somewhat okay is if the person was raped and is now pregnant.
But that's still wrong because the kid if you believe that the child the child is actually a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you kill the child for what the father did? You know what I mean? Like if your dad is an asshole,
But think
why would that be on you?
Think of the mental state throughout the whole pregnancy that this mother is going to be going through.
Yeah.
If she gets rid of it once she finds out that she's pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets rid of the baby.
So, but would you kill her? Because a lot of parents go through mental, things when a child is born.
When a child's born. Yeah.
would you kill that child because the mother is going through mental things?
No.
So it doesn't matter what you're going through, you're still killing somebody. There's no justified to kill somebody except for self-defense. That's what I think of it. No matter what's going on, you shouldn't kill anybody unless it's self-defense. You know what I mean?
I see that point.
So I know that argument is used a lot. Rape, and I think it's gonna mention that in this video. I think rape is like I think 3% of abortions.
Yeah.
So that argument should.
That's the only time that I kind of understand. You know what I mean? Besides that,
the only time
I don't really agree with it either.
I will understand if it's either the mother's life or the child's life.
Yeah,
that's the only time.
That too, yeah.
Because there are women who's been raped and they got pregnant and they carried the kid carried the pregnancy to term. They love the child. You realize that the child doesn't have to pay for the father's mistakes or the father's sins or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's continue.
But what about?
I don't care. I do care when you start killing babies. This is a problem for me.
But what about in rape and incest?
I knew it.
Okay, so this is okay. So here's
they always bring it up. I knew they were gonna bring it up. They always bring it up. But I think it sounds like you were saying, it sounds right when you think about the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's all the mother, then it sounds right. But if you also think about the child, like if it was like a 5-year-old kid that was causing the mother distress, you wouldn't say, "Oh, kill a child because it's causing the mother distress."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think when you think about it on both sides, it really doesn't make any sense. And another thing is that it's only like I think 3% of abortion. So it's like the argument shouldn't even be,
I get your point.
Yeah.
for me.
But what about in rape and incest situations?
Okay, so this is okay. So here's the question.
It's different, yes.
I mean, this is a long conversation. And I'm enjoying it actually, which is why I'm allowing you to stay. But the question of rape and incest. First of all, important to note, rape and incest are not only a vast minority of abortion cases. They're an extraordinarily low percentage of abortion cases. So if we can first stipulate that all the other abortions are bad, then we can talk about that other one. Can we do that? Are all the other abortions bad, or are those ones okay? And you're just using this as an excuse to make the other ones okay.
That's usually what they do.
Ah, good. Someone who's honest. So, who's the honest fellow? Who's okay? Yay, honest people. Good. I like the honesty. Okay, so all abortions are okay. So, a sign that I can't read because it has lots of words on it. Okay, so.
He's getting ready. He's like.
I have one question for you and one question only on abortion. Does the vagina, the vaginal canal, magically confer personhood? Answer. Does the vagina magically confer personhood? Yeah, raised hands are okay. You, sir.
No, the first breath does.
The first breath confers personhood. Okay, so if the baby is in the womb and is exactly the same size and has not yet breathed, and you take a knife and you stab the baby in the head, a fully formed 9-month-old baby, it is not a human. The only thing that makes it a human is when it takes a breath. It has to independently breathe.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to stick to it, yeah, because I'm also pro-capital punishment and pro-selective suicide. So I'm going to stick with it.
Selective suicide? Yeah, I assume you mean elective suicide.
I mean, elective suicide.
Elective suicide. Okay.
Yes, I'm not going to make someone commit suicide.
Okay, that's good, because that wouldn't be suicide, that'd be homicide. That, by the way, I'm for capital punishment too, because people who kill people should be killed, but babies who have not killed people should not.
Exactly.
And this is my basic position on abortion. So let me but I'll get your answer because you're the one who asked the question. Are you willing to stipulate that all the other abortions are bad, just rape and incest bother you?
I mean, no, I believe a woman should have the right to
Got it. So it's an excuse, right? So it's an excuse so that we can say that, so that we can take the marginal case and then say that the marginal case applies to all cases. Okay, that's again faulty thinking. But if you want me to answer specifically on rape and incest, here is my basic answer: rapists should be castrated or killed. You shouldn't kill babies. End of story.
But are they ever castrated and killed? Most rapists don't even get convicted.
I agree, and that's usually the left side of the aisle because the left side wants to let them out after 5 years in prison. I want them castrated or killed. I'm telling you what my belief is. My belief is not public policy at the moment. But I think, would you agree with me on that one? Can we at least get a little agreement to finish this particular parlay? Okay, should rapists be castrated or killed?
Well, yes.
Okay, good, yeah, okay, we agree. Nice.
Well, I agree on something. but like I was saying, I think a lot of people use that argument when they bring it up. But if you're not gonna agree that if you bring it up, right, rape, right? Let's say that like he said, let's say if if it's rape, then it's okay. But other ones are not okay. They said no. Then why even bring the rape question up? Let's argue the majority and not bring the minority into it. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys.
That's why I said the only time I think it's not okay is when rape is.
I mean, it's okay.
That it's okay is when rape is involved, or like
Yeah.
when you said you have to choose between the baby or the mother.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Unless the mother wants you to keep the baby.
That's what I'm saying.
Then
yeah.
it's a different story.
Yeah.
But like you said, you can't hurt the child based off of the father's sins, which
Exactly.
I understand, I agree with. But at the end of the day, I think when it involves rape, that should also be the mother's decision. Just when it involves me or the baby, that's the mother's decision. If the mother says, no, if something happens to me during birth, I want you to save the baby, not me, that's her decision. You should follow her decision. And if she gets raped and she decides she doesn't want the baby, that's also her decision.
Let me give you a
But
scenario.
besides those two scenarios,
Let me give you a scenario, right? Let's say, I don't know, like a kid is born and the kid is disabled. And the mother's like, damn, I'm gonna have to be taking care of it. I'm gonna have to stroll him around and feed him and stuff. Even when he's an adult, I'm gonna have to feed him and do that for him. Buy wheelchairs. He's gonna be a financial burden on me, a physical burden, psychological burden right on me, right? The mother says the kid is like born, right? He's like, you know what? This kid is gonna be a burden on me. I'm gonna kill it. Would you agree with that? Because the baby is gonna
how
be.
is that the same?
Because you're saying that because the girl's been raped, right? Because she's been raped, it's gonna be a psychological burden on the woman. That makes it okay for the woman to kill a child, right? But let's say the child was born and the child was gonna be a psychological burden on the woman. Is it still okay?
No.
Exactly. So why is it okay? If you agree that you know, I guess this is of when do you believe that life begins, right? If you agree that if it's a baby in the womb, right, then it's a life. Then it shouldn't matter what your psychological.
I think if it's still like in egg form, then that's fine.
Then what constitutes a life? I think it's an argument. When is life begin? I think where we disagree is I think it's also wrong to kill a baby because of psychological reasons of you. It's
I only think that way with rape though.
Of psychological reasons that somebody else did. It's not because of the child itself.
That's true.
Because of somebody else did. It's
I
like,
understand
I think
your
that's
points.
still wrong.
I'm still
You know what I mean?
just like, I don't know. When it comes to that, I'm just like, I don't know. I understand the points.
I understand it's a very hard issue. Like rape is really like you said, rape should be castrated or killed.
Yeah.
You see that he really cares about, he really believes that rape is wrong and that's unacceptable. But if it does happen, that's not the kid's fault. I just can't get past that.
I agree.
I just can't get past
that. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to explain my thoughts on that. I understand your thoughts and I do agree with your thoughts, but I don't know.
Yeah, guys.
Stay tuned.
Comment about this topic. Guys, be nice, okay? Don't be assholes, okay? Be civil about discussion in the comments. I know this.
Or be assholes.
I
Do
know
whatever you
nah.
want. I don't give a shit.
I know
I'm
this.
just gonna sit here on my computer and laugh at everything you say.
I know these discussions are very, it gets to our emotions, and I understand that, right?
You want to fight?
But try
Tell me
to
where
be
you
civil
live.
about it, guys, because people are more willing to understand you and and listen to what you have to say if you're civil instead of calling them names or
We like to have mature debates here, but if you wanna go, you just name the place and time, and I'll be there. We can tussle it out.
All right,
I don't
guys,
mind.
like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye.